Hello, hello. Hi,
We're
Byron.
here. We're here. Finally,
Yes,
we're here.
yes. And thank you who is watching this broadcasting. Thank you for joining on a launch for Soul Freedom Journeys. It's
Yes.
all about being here for you so that we can uplift each other and also support you on your soul journey and create more freedom. That's why it's called Journey. Yeah. So, Byron, what do you have to say to our beautiful people?
I want to say welcome to everybody that's watching this. And this is episode one of the Soul Freedom Journeys channel. This venture has been in the making, it feels like, for many years, and finally it's culminating. So I'm excited to be here working with you, my beloved Sismana. And we may need to explain that to our audience later, what that means exactly.
Yeah, you're my beloved Romano. We are soul siblings, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. So Byron and I, we have met almost 20 years ago, and we have been in this partnership as soul brother sister for a very very long time, and then we said, okay, so let's do something together. So this is it. And without further ado, we're gonna talk about freedom. But as you said yesterday, we had actually a get together before our launching. And Byron, you said, let's talk about freedom, but this is a different dimension of freedom. What is it?
Yes. To be free in this material plane is always a debate that people that are going through. You ask people if they want to be free, and they'll say yes, but, or yes, with conditions.
Mm.
So we realize that freedom is not free. If you take a step back and you say, well, I'm soul having a material experience, well, then is your soul free?
Mm.
And if you feel that it's not, well, what does that mean exactly? So that's
Yeah,
the topic that we want to explore is what does freedom for the soul actually represent?
yeah. Thank you. And actually, soul has many expressions. And since we are in this 3D material world, because there are many dimensions, we will get to actually discuss about these things more in detail as we carry on with the broadcasting. We're not going to talk about specifically about, what is soul today. We will do
Mm.
that on another broadcasting. But I really love your invitation, my beloved Bromano, because from experience, well, personal experience, and then also by, being in teaching and then taking care of people as a therapist, freedom is actually one big thing. And
Mm.
as you said, freedom sometimes comes with conditions, but then we can say that that's not real like freedom, because freedom cannot have conditions, right?
Mm.
And you mentioned yesterday when we were having our discussion about the John's Plantation movie. So I
Yes.
watched the short, and it was just so poignant, to get this message. And actually, by the way, guys, we're gonna share the link so you can watch that. It's a very powerful movie to watch. And then it's a movie about slavery and actually
Yes.
how the slaves get conditioned to think that they were free to participate in this business, the cotton business back in the day, but they were not really free. And there is a parallel with the reality that we also will live.
Mm.
There are a lot of conditions, right? But then what about you connecting with your soul, being so present and operating from that soul level that creates true freedom? What was your biggest take from that, Byron?
With regards to the movie,
Yes.
yes.
Mm.
What I realized as I uh, watched I have seen both the short version of the movie, and maybe just to take a step back and give some background. Larkin Rose is the writer of the movie, and he created an animated version of this story, The Jones Plantation, back in 2011. And after a decade, somebody got the great idea of turning that into a full feature film. So at the moment, there is the Jones Plantation full feature film that was released last year and that you can get online. So when I watched the longer version of the movie just recently, I felt, first of all, that it was such an alignment with our society, and it doesn't matter which country you live in. Granted, this movie was made in the US and has a very strong American historical element to it. However, you could probably transpose that into any society, into any country, and you would feel that it's quite relevant. As I was watching it, it left me with this feeling of powerlessness at times. And I could see that it was really my human side that was responding to that. It's like, yeah, so what's the point? There's no way out. However, I realized that the soul always has a choice. And some of the characters, without spoiling the plot for those that haven't seen the movie, some of the characters in the movie do pass away. I mean, that you would expect that in any story that has that kind of a historical element to it. And you could see that there was this, especially with one of the characters, he says, I'd rather die than be imprisoned. And you could see that it wasn't the physical death that concerned the guy, but he realized that his soul was being captured into this malevolent plot. And he would rather physically be dead and free his soul from this situation than to endure it in a illegitimate, unethical way. I could definitely see how that for a lot of people is the solution. So there's this element of, okay, well, if it's that easy, then why do we fear death? And why don't we just, everybody commit suicide or everybody just go and get killed and then your soul is free? But that's not the point, right? That's not the point of the story. And it's not the point also of our existence here. And therefore, it left me quite hopeful that there is a way forward to maximize our existence in this lifetime.
Yeah.
So that our soul actually does fulfill the purpose that it came here to fulfill.
Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful. Yes, totally agree with you. And actually, the invitation that I make to students, especially those who participate in the Awaken Heart programs and any other programs that I have conducted, is actually to see life as a game. We're participating in a game. So then it makes it feel less heavy. Yes, it is true that sometimes it can be disheartening to see, where we are. I mean, if we start looking at what is happening in our world, right, which is actually these events are not separated from us. If there is conflict somewhere else, it's not somewhere else. It's just simply a reflection of what's still going on inside of us, each and every one of us, because we are part of a collective, right? And then probably you who's watching this video can relate to this, that sometimes if you start listening or you start paying attention to what's going on around, it may feel like maybe too much. And actually the reason why Byron and I, we're doing this broadcasting is so that we can somehow uplift that heaviness. We can at least, give you some tools, information, so then you can start shifting the perspective from, where you're looking at events. Because Byron mentioned about, sometimes feeling powerless, thinking, well, there's no way out, but actually there is a way out. There is always a way out. Because as he mentioned, we always have choice. And choice is actually one characteristic that comes from soul. So what I'm saying here is that by looking at this 3D reality that we are all in, right? As a game, we get to choose how we play. And there are so many things that we can actually be concerned about. But being concerned about is not going to really make a difference, right? And we know how we impact each other through our thought wavelength. There is
Mm.
scientific proof for that, how actually consciousness affects consciousness. So the invitation is, if for whatever reason, whether you are a business person, you're a parent, you're part of this great community called humanity. And if there is something that has been a concern for you, then start shifting how you view it. Don't take it on you. I mean, like as a weight, but then just start thinking, okay, so if I'm in this game called life and I get to choose how I play with my fellow, humanity, right? Humanity members, what can you do differently? What can you do differently that it can actually shift the resonance, first of all, of your thoughts, your thinking, your feeling, your words, your actions, because that's going to make a difference. Yeah. Have you experienced that, Byron? That perhaps something was like, oh, so heavy. And then just by shifting thought, shifting your emotionality about the event, do you create a difference? Have you?
Yes, in fact, I do that very often. And I've been fortunate to go through several personal development programs of different organizations, and they have one thing in common. And they all say pretty much the same thing at its fundamental message. It's
Mm,
not what happens, it's how you perceive it and you interpret it.
mm,
So, the worst thing can happen to me, but if I interpret it as, oh, this is a good learning experience, then automatically it changes the impact that it has on me.
mm,
And the opposite is true. Like one of the challenges that I faced today was getting caught in traffic before this recording.
mm,
And I could have perceived it as, oh, this is the worst thing that can happen. And, it's going to
mm,
mess up our first episode and our launch.
mm,
However, I reframed it and I thought, well, if I have that energy going on in my head,
mm,
I'm going to get to the recording and it's going to be a mess. I'm not going to be able to focus. It's going to be a massive distraction. So sitting in the car, the only thing that I could do was, well, I just go with the flow and look for the opportunity to improve the situation. And sure enough, because I got rid of that anxiety, instead of going all the way home, which is where I wanted to be for the recording, I realized that the route that I was taking us past the other home that we have. Like we have a second home. It's an apartment building in the suburbs of Kuala Lumpur. And that apartment building, there's, on a regular calm day, it's 15 minutes distance from the house. But with traffic, it probably would have been another half hour. So I thought, well, hold on. I can get to the condo and set up there because I have my laptop with me and get on the call so that we can do the recording. And therefore, just by, switching the perspective, instead of being in a panic, for the rest of the ride, I basically could relax and settle in. And now we're having this very pleasant conversation.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. It only takes a moment to decide. And actually, that's the power of choice. You chose
Mm.
to switch.
Yeah.
And the invitation is for you who's watching this video to also switch. It only takes a nanosecond. It's just like that. Very,
Yeah.
very, very quickly. Because the thing is, and it is a fact that we are very resourceful. And I tell you, as human beings, we are very, very strong. We're
Mm.
resilient. We are powerful.
Mm.
However, what can get in the way of that power is fear. And at any given
Mm.
moment, we we have the choice to stay vibrating in fear, right? Which actually relates to ego. We will talk about a lot about ego and soul later on.
Mm. Mm.
through the broadcasting, and we can choose to resonate from the vibration of love, which is the resonance that comes from soul, from source, right, at any given moment. So the invitation for you is to be present and start practicing this. You're gonna get really, really very fluent at this, very good at this. Okay, so if something is not working, immediately shift. The other thing that happened actually before this broadcasting is that I realized that could not broadcast live on YouTube because we just started the channel. I was like, okay,
Mm.
well, shift. Okay, no problem. We record and upload, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of practice. Um, there is one one question that Byron and I we talked about yesterday in preparation to this broadcast, and the question is, what soul has to do with freedom? We would love to read your comments below, so please make sure that you leave them there. We will be sharing quite extensively about soul. And the reason for that is that Byron and I, we have been in the training industry for a very, very, very long time. I mean, a couple of decades actually. And
Yes.
also, we have been working with entrepreneurs, business people. And one thing that we have noticed in the business world is that there is this awakening that is happening, which is great,
Mhm.
right? And we want to contribute to that awakening, and we want to bring more soul into business. That's why we're also doing this, because we figure,
Yes.
okay, so how can we create faster impact, right? And create a greater domino effect. Because, okay, so people who are entrepreneurs, who are in business, or who are, doing some form of interaction at, say, management level, are working with teams. And we want to create these domino effects, starting with your family, right? That's part of your team. Then you have your team and, say, your company, and then the community. So how can we bring more soul into business, more soul, more higher consciousness in the interactions that had to do with professional endeavors? Because it's part of our day-to-day life as, I mean, it's a large community society. So then please also leave your comments below, right? What would you like to hear about that? How can you bring more soul into your interactions? How can you be more present from that space? Because we can tell you that by being in that space, the outcomes that you create are going to be quite different,
Mhm.
right? And we have a surprise for you, which is the soul and ego cards. These cards have been on the making for a couple of years. Actually, you are part of the Awaken Heart program that was launched a couple of years ago. Well, you know about it because these cards are part of it. And it has taken me a couple of years to download the messages. So then Byron is going to pick some cards as part of a message. So that is actually something unique about this broadcasting. We're going to have messages coming directly from soul, coming from ego, so we can have different perspectives. And Byron, you have experienced those messages. What can
I
you
have.
share that? Yeah.
Um, so when I did the Awaken Heart program, I found it quite powerful that I could basically tap in to that level of my own existence and my own essence. And that came across quite clearly when I did pick out the card. And I don't remember exactly which card I chose when we did the program together. However, I did find it very relevant to my life, and the message was very timely. So that worked out very well. Before you go and select the cards, you may want to explain what the cards are, and then what are we actually choosing from?
Oh, yes. Well, these cards actually came as an inspiration and
Mm.
wanted to give something different. The inspiration actually came from having conversations with my soul, as
Mm.
asking my soul, hey, soul, how can we be of greater service? How can we support more people? And then it was just very simple. I just started actually grabbing recycled paper, not in this form actually at the beginning. I can actually show you. So then it was just, you know,
It was like A4 size paper that had been used for
no,
something.
actually, there are some supplements that I take that I
Mm.
love, that we love at home. And I had a lot of, these cartons. And I just started just cutting them out without knowing that I was actually going to write on them. Like this is the part of the box. And I just started just collecting that. And that actually started probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And then once I had a stack of that paper, then I was like, what can I do with this? And then I realized that at some level I knew what I was doing, but I was not really being 100% conscious about it. And then when I started asking my soul, okay, so what can we do? As in, how can we communicate? Then it was just very simple. It was just like my soul telling me, well, start writing. So I just started writing. And then I started collecting these messages in nature for most part. Like I will go to the mountain, I will go to the hot springs or anywhere in nature. And then the downloading started happening. Also here at home, I'll meditate and I'll ask, so okay, so what's the message for today? And actually during the Awaken Heart program at the beginning, that was actually a nice surprise. So then, as an answer to participants' questions, then the messages will start coming and the drawings as well. Yeah. So then, it's we all are in agreement that these cards are actually a beautiful way of answering questions, and the very very surprising thing is that every time a question was asked, the message that came through was just very precise.
Yeah, I remember that very clearly. Giselle, over to you.
Thank you. Okay, so are we ready to get some cards, some messages?
Yes,
Okay, what about messages about freedom? Okay.
that would be very
Oh,
relevant.
yeah. So Byron's gonna pick. Drum roll. Okay, Byron, you pick.
And stop.
This one. Oh, okay. We got the responsibility card.
Ooh.
Okay. This is so, and the ego cards are in black. You can see,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Okay, let's get a couple more. We can. Ooh, I'm having goosebumps actually. Okay, pick another one.
And stop.
Okay, it's about harmony.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay, let's get one more.
Stop.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is interesting. About growth.
Hmm.
And the correlating, it's this one. Ooh, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. Thank you so much for getting the cards for everyone. Let's start reading. Okay. The first one that came is about responsibility. And the very interesting thing about these cards is that you can ask a question like we did. We're talking about freedom, soul and
Mhm.
freedom. And then we got this message. So then this is actually Responsibility viewed from the ego, the ego's perspective. I will read. And it says, responsibility. It is hard. I can't do it. Later, not now, are phrases I whisper to your ears so you won't assume your own responsibility. Yes, I inspire you to shift your responsibility onto people who are neither capable nor the best choice to do the thing you are more than capable to do. I don't want you to be responsible. I inspire chaos and pain in your life. You choose. You choose. That's for me, all right? And let's see what Soul says about responsibility. It says, responsibility. And Soul says, Beloved, we encourage you to shift your perception about responsibility. Rather than thinking of it as a way to get things done, think of it as a key that opens doors of possibilities and new realities. Responsibility is simply that, is your ability to respond with integrity, which is love, to carry out at any given moment, responding in alignment with you, your real you, which is that divinity inside of you. And when you do so, you will see a completely different cascade of events flowing in your life. So please release the distorted view on responsibility that only gets you to not be responsible for yourself. It's not about doing or achieving, it's about being. Okay. And then we got harmony, gut felt. And I will read first the ego message on harmony. And it says, throughout millennia on Gaia, we have trained well humans to be reactive, to think and feel with their gut, to be visceral in their response. And of course, the results can never be the best for anyone. We keep chaos and discord on earth by inducing gut feeling reactions. These kind of reactions nulls the ability to connect heart and mind. We make humans less intelligent, okay, just so you know. Well, and I really want you guys to take a look at this image, as in with that gut feeling, and you can see actually lower chakras emanating energy because we are energy beings. Okay, and let's see what Soul says. The beloved, engaging your lower energy centers in order to respond or generate a solution only works when you can raise their vibration, transmuting the quality of their emissions. There is a big difference between gut felt and heartfelt. The ego structure will do its best so you won't recur to me, the soul, for guidance. Yet it is entirely up to you to choose whose counseling you go by. I am you and you are me. We are one. The counseling of your soul will always be the accurate response to any situation, even the toughest. Align your heart and mind. Bring the energy of all your chakras into your heart and focus on the highest possible outcome for everyone. You are loved. That's a message from Soul. It's actually quite interesting because these cards are talking about responding, just responsibility. Yeah. He told you it's always very precise. And You saw that Byron is actually the one who picked the cards, not me. Okay. And this is about growth and genius. Let's see what ego says about growth. And look at the image. Ego invites us always to look outside and also to think that growth is always outside. Outside. It's an outside business. Ego says, my game is to divert your attention outside when it comes to growth. I will tell you that your growth depends on others, so you miss out on the greatest tool and potential that lies deep within yourself. You are the one to recognize yourself for who you are and not fall for my games. So again, ego here is talking about choice. We have a choice. Let's see what Soul says. And look at this image, his picture, the heart, genius. Okay, growth is an inner business. Soul says, beloved, think of growth as an expansion from inside out, not the other way around. Growth means the actualization of your full genius potential, and that requires perseverance, self-belief, faith, patience, courage, and the determination to keep going when you may be terrified to be happy or just with any aspect of your potential. Walk firmly, watching the ego structure. Yeah. So we put these 3 messages from soul, 3 messages from ego together. So Byron, will you share with us what you got out of this reading?
Mm-hmm. I find it fascinating because even without you reading the details on each card, both from the ego and the soul, it was very clear to me that just the title of these cards are pivotal to the whole concept of freedom. So starting with responsibility, that is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't want to be free, is because they don't want to be responsible for their lives. So in the current paradigm, they either shift that to their country ruler or to the democratic state or the state apparatus that will make all the decisions for them. They don't want to be responsible for their own destiny. Number 2, one objection that a lot of people have with, well, okay, so if we're going to have freedom, that means we don't have a governing body to tell us what to do, or we don't have a king or a queen to tell us what to do. Isn't that going to create a mess? Isn't that going to create chaos? And what this card is showing is that freedom can exist with harmony. We can live harmoniously even as free beings. And the last one is pivotal. The last one that talks about the growth. The only way you can actually be free and still be happy about it is to be able to do what you have to in order to not only live, survive, but really thrive. So for example, if I want to not be dependent on the grocery store to get my produce, to get my fruits and vegetables, to get my meats, then I need to get that by myself, or at least find a way to get it from a different type of autonomous system. So I need to be responsible for that. And I need to grow mentally and also character-wise to set up a structure where I can actually grow my own food. I can't just expect that to happen, from the outside. I really have to grow inside because, so you can learn the knowledge from the outside, that's fine. But do you have then the commitment, the willingness, the drive, the ethical and moral behavior? That has to happen, internal growth. So I found this to be really spot on with the challenges that we face in today's society, where people choose their own enslavement because it's convenient.
Yeah. Thank you. Wow, you said it so beautifully. And actually, we go back to the beginning of the conversation, and this is actually how beautiful the messages from these cards actually just come in. Yeah, because the that movie, it's all about freedom, right? And we can actually be modern slaves without having any shackles around us, just simply by our choices. The quality of our choices will determine our outcomes. And I really love these beautiful messages. One thing that I can share with you guys is to really gotta be watching what you are doing with your body. Yeah, and how your body is actually giving you feedback, because our bodies are a very large sensory apparatus. And if you're not aware of your mental body, immediately you will know what's going on with your mind by tuning in with your physical body. And if you are operating from reactivity, you will feel it somewhere around here, the lower chakras, right? So then immediately you can make a pause to, shift, like Byron and I we shared just before, right? And just remember that you always have a choice. You can have the choice to respond, and you can respond from your inner being, from your soul, your genius, understanding that growth expansion, it's an inner business, as soul told us. It's not outside of you. So if you are looking for validation for your expansion, you will be hooking back with the ego structure. And as the ego structure said, the ego structure does its best for you not to respond. It will make you reactive, and it will make you look outside always for anything. And as Byron beautifully said, we have the choice to respond and to create the solutions that we are looking for. So we are actually about to wrap up this transmission. Yeah, we're so grateful to have you guys. Thank you for joining us. And by the way, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and you activate the bell, so that you will know when we are broadcasting. And so far, we have agreed on broadcasting on Tuesdays and Sundays. This is Tuesday, Sunday, Southeast Asia. So if you are in another part of the world, please make sure to check and help us by growing the community so we can actually broadcast live. We were not able to do that today simply because this is our first session. Yeah.
It feels real powerful to actually be participating like this and creating this podcast with you. I have been wanting to do something like this for years, and I have always held back. There was something holding me back. However, venturing into this with you, my beloved Sismana, is making it so much easier and smoother, and no hesitation to go forward and do this. So I'm looking forward to a very lengthy run of this series.
Thank you so much, my beloved Bromano. Actually, I will share how Bromano and Sismana came about.
That's
Because
a good
someone
idea.
was asking. And actually, one of my trips to Malaysia, Singapore, I was actually just talking to my beloved Bromano, right? And I was staying at their home with Melinda, his wife, and there was just this, glitch in with languages. I was going to call him brother, right? Because I call him brother, and then Spanish kick in, right? Hermano, and these two words just became one, and I just say bromano. It was hilarious, and he was like, "Huh?" Like, but it sounded so good, like that. And then he said, "Oh, then if I'm your bromano, brother, hermano, then you're my sister, hermana, cismana." And we loved it because it sounds so Greek. And
Yes.
we noticed that Byron is, Greek descendant.
Yes.
Then we thought, okay, that's it. he's Bromano, I'm Cismana, and we just ever since we just started calling each other Bromano and Cismana, but that means we are soul brother sister. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, very 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 special.
We have a
So
lot of these very, what's the word, serendipitous type of things that happen. And it's
yeah,
been quite consistent over the years. So you're going to get a chance, dear audience, to hear a lot of our stories over the episodes. And hopefully you'll find them engaging and fruitful. At the end of the day, we don't want to share just to hear ourselves talk. We want to share because we want to have an impact on you all.
yes, thank you. So please make sure that you leave your comments, your questions in the comment area. Oh, and please help us grow our community. This is your community, our community. So then, because YouTube actually has a rule. So if, as, okay, how can I say it? So when we get a certain number of subscribers, then YouTube will allow us to broadcast live. So we're doing this with you. Ah. So thank you for sharing the video. Thank you for sharing the message with other people.
I
Yeah.
have one more plug to make before we leave. Well, first of all, two things. Number one, as Giselle mentioned, the links to the movie The Jones Plantation will be available in the comments so that you can go and look at it for yourself. And by the way, things that we share, it's really because we want you to learn. We have no financial interest in the ventures that we are sharing. It's really to share information that you may not have heard of that is very, very useful in our opinion.
Yeah.
And the second thing I want to share is you may notice in my background, I am showing a scene from a sailing marina. Yes, those are sailboats. And specifically, that marina is called the Olympic Marina on the east side of Attiki, which is the province that has Athens in it.
Oh.
So on the east side of that, there's this beautiful marina, and then from there you can head into the Aegean Ocean
Oh.
by or Aegean Sea on sail. And this
Beautiful.
particular photo was taken on our first day of a trip that Melinda and I did in December. And it was fantastic weather for 2 straight weeks, and we really, really enjoyed the trip. So the last plug that I want to put in is, as part of our soul freedom journeys, we will be organizing trips.
Yes.
And our first trip will be this summer. We will give you the details in a subsequent episode, but I just want to leave you on that message. If any of you want to join us for a real experience, a real journey where you will grow and you will learn a lot about yourself and your soul, we invite you to stay tuned for the announcement of our maiden voyage, which will be in July of 2025.
Oh. Yes, it will be amazing. Actually, Byron and I, we are travelers. Yeah, we are explorers. And both of us, we have traveled extensively throughout the world. And one of the reasons why we call this channel the Soul Freedom Journeys is because also through journeying to through the journeys is that we get even more enriched. Yeah, it's such a way to expand, to get out of our common environments, familiar environments, and expose ourselves to different cultures, different everything. It does something to our spirit, to our psyche. It's a very powerful way to shift. So yeah, you will get more information. All right. So without further ado, we'll say thank you again so much and look forward to our next session. Will be on the Sunday. So stay tuned. That's why subscribe and click on the notification button so then you will know when we are coming live. All right. Or when we will upload the video.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Gracias. And I'll
Ευχαριστώ
see you.
πολύ.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.